it is more powerful than any card in the Abzan deck.
This should be a lot of fun between these two decks. We've seen this matchup before. I typically see Green-Black Constellation win it, but it's always pretty close, so we'll see what Bobby Whitehouse can put together. He's 7-1-1. He needs a W. If he gets one, he likely makes the top 8. He's got to force to start things off here in game 1 of round number 10. For Murdock, he's got to stay on Step Citadel. He'll pass it back. Of course, as we have noticed, it's all setup turns to start.
Yeah.
There's an Elvish Mystic.
Charley Murdock, the top 7-2 on tiebreakers. Bobby Whitehouse is at 7-1-1. If he wins, Bobby is in. He secures his own spot. Charley will need some help with a win here.
A bit of a sweat.
Players, I believe, in 9th and 10th going into this round.
Murdock feels like a Thoughtseize, and it is. Courser, Hornet Queen. Wayfinder, another Hornet Queen, and a Swamp.
Well, if he ever gets to the point where he can play Hornet Queens, those cards are incredible against Abzan. That said, a parade of Siege Rhinos will stop that before it ever starts. Having double 7-drops, never ideal.
See what card Charley wants to take here with the Thoughtseize. Courser seems to be the most appealing of the bunch. We're so far away from Hornet Queens, and Cinder Wayfinder just finds a land. So it's not even really that dangerous a card, at least we don't think so. But he's going to give it some thought here as he takes a look at his hand. Because, as you mentioned, Hornet Queen is a scary card to play against, but Courser's going to go to the graveyard.
Yeah, and that to me seems like the biggest threat. But you have to worry about Bobby building up toward the Hornet Queens, and the best way to stop him from doing that is to take the card that matters here, which is Courser. He can get card advantage, get him lands while letting him continue to play. Now Bobby's in the awkward spot that he either draws lands to get to Hornet Queen, in which case he's just drawing lands every turn, and Charley can probably beat that. Or he draws spells, in which case the Hornet Queens don't come down.
Tempo Malady was the land for the turn, excuse me, before passing the turn back. An attack here, 4-1 from Whitehouse will put Murdock down a little bit lower. That's a Swamp.
Lands drawn so far by Whitehouse, working his way up towards 7. If he can be alive when he hits 7, it's going to be a great spot for him.
Pretty hard to pass up Nykthos, but it looks like he will for a copy of Llanowar Waste. I'll give him another black mana.
Yeah, I like the black mana here, actually. When your opponent is on Abzan, you would assume that they're killing enough of your stuff that Nykthos just isn't a thing. Maybe if he already had a Courser Kruphix in play, he'd be tempted to take it, but I don't think you'd want it otherwise.
Here's a Thoughtseize. Here's the grip. Queen, Queen, Swamp, Waste.
Okay, well, takes a Hornet Queen.
Yeah, that's easy. Couple of lands left. There's 1, 2, 3 lands in play, 2 lands in hand. I think if you 5 mana, Mystic will be 6. There's a Caves. This is a copy of Caryatid. Pass the turn back over to Whitehouse. He needs a draw. Something nice here. Ugh, Llanowar Waste.
Well, if he's going to flood out, at least he still has the 1 Hornet Queen left in his hand. This is land number 5.
I'll take it back. Copy of Tempo Malady.
Yeah, he has lands 6, 7 in his hand. So now he wants to start shipping lands.
He needs to find something that actually does something here. Something to kind of bridge the gap. Eidolon of Blossoms, Pharika, Commune with the Gods, Whip of Erebos, just something.
I think Whip would be his best draw here. Whip is a really scary card for the Abzan deck, and Bobby already has a Hornet Queen in his yard. He'd love to find that.
Bramaz the draw.
And I think we're going to see the first threat out of Charley this turn. He's spent his first 3 turns just setting up a pair of Thoughtseizes and a Sylvan Caryatid. Here's our first threat. It's the King of the Cats.
It sure is. Doesn't have to take any damage to cast it. Let's see what the follow-up is here for Charley. Looks like he has a Temple. Temple's Silence, Trigger the Scry. Abzan Charm is the card he's looking at. Hard to put that to the bottom.
It's a good card. I like the draw 2 it does here. I'm not positive he has the mana to spend time casting it. You see he has Courser of Kruphix, Elspeth in his hand. His mana's spoken for in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's just so versatile. That's hard to pass up.
It is. It's good.
There's a Swamp. Commune. This will give him something to do finally. Let's take a look.
Find Whip. It's going to be great.
A couple Caryatids, a Murderous Cut, an Elvish Mystic, and a Doomwake Giant.
Well, he hit on the last one there, I suppose. At least it does something. It's not the Whip he would have wanted, but It's better than a mana creature.
Rest of the card's going to go to the bin. Pass a turn back.
Bobby has the Hornet Queen ready next turn. He's gotten off real light for not doing anything up to that point.
Yeah, just some boring acceleration. The King of Resco is going to come into the red zone. We'll have a cat come as well. Oh, the new cat token. I like it. Jeff Foster's cat token. Going to trade there. Charlie, what's the follow-up going to be, my friend?
Yeah, well, he knows that the Hornet Queen's coming, so he's going to need to do something about that.
There's Courser. Top card, Siege Rhino. Bobson's going to get rolling here now. There's a carry added. It's time to pass the turn back over to Whitehouse. Whitehouse will draw a card. I believe it was a copy of Nykthos. Didn't get a great look at it.
So a little update on your standing situation is tables 1 through 4 actually drew, which does mean if Bobby Whitehouse wins this, he will very likely knock Ali Antrazi out of top 8.
Oh, boy. Okay, then, because Ali was in 8th place.
Yeah, that's surprising to see a veteran like Ali make that move, which means he either likes this matchup, I think, from the Obzon side, or is willing to... I mean, it's not wrong. He's just putting his fate in the hands of someone who's not him.
Sure. Just taking the ultimate risk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, math-wise, that's not terrible. That's a fine decision to make. If you're someone like Brad Nelson, I know that Brad never puts his tournament fate in anyone's hands but his own, even if it's a really odds-on thing to do.
There's Queen Bee.
And here are her hornets. Or insects, rather.
Yeah, they're hornets. That's a flavor of fail. They should be hornets. Put me in R&D. I'll fix that.
Well, possibly the Queen of the Hornets commands so much respect that all insects follow her.
All right, I'm with you. I can get behind that. Murdock's draw was a Siege Rhino. Top card's Burmaz here.
It is hard for Obzon to deal with Hornet Queen.
Discards. It's a disaster. It's so hard from the beat.
Does he... So check 1 would be, does he have Bile Blights in his main? The answer to that is no.
Okay. It's just got a lot harder.
It's going to be a 5-for-1.
Yep.
That's... Elspeth is probably... Would you... I guess it's his best shot, except that the Hornets will just sting down Elspeth.
Yeah.
No, this is really difficult for him to deal with.
Here's the attack. You know, I was talking to Michael Majors. He said, yeah, I played a Hornet Queen. Or he actually courted for a Hornet's Nest, and he said he put 5 Doom Blades into play. That's basically what this is. There's your block.
Yeah. I mean, Charlie, willing to trade Bramaz with a 1-1.
Oh, he's got to, I mean,
he
has
has
to slog through it, right? There's no like, you know, bobbing and weaving through this.
I think he makes that play, especially because there's another Bramaz on top of his deck.
Yeah.
You know, at least now he'll get to cast the second one.
There's a Rhino. The real disaster is if Whitehouse is able to find like a whip for the other Hornet Queen or something. That's when things really get ugly. He's got a Doomwake Giant in his hand right now, too. So Doomwake's not the best I've ever seen on this board, but it's better than nothing.
Whip would seal the deal here.
Yeah.
For Whitehouse. Remember, because of that draw, Charlie Murdock is not playing for top 8 here, actually.
He's just trying to play the role of spoiler.
He does get his top 16 finish with a win.
Yep. Island of Blossoms was the draw. Yeah, a pretty neat little turn here, I think, for Mr. Whitehouse. So he does figure out what's the best thing he can be doing, which is starting with attacking for 2 in the air.
All right.
There's Nykthos. That's a good turn.
A lot of mana with Hornet Queen. He'll be able to cast things as soon as he draws them. And you know, this is where his deck starts to really make plays that are far more synergistic and I guess powerful than what Obzon normally does. Idle and Blossom's a great worker here.
And you've got, you know, this Minor Devotion shell, which is pretty nice. There is Eidolon. You know, roll the sleeves up. It's about to get a little dirty out here.
Starts with Eidolon, gets to draw another card off Doomwake Giant. And shrink down that cat token.
Yep. That's going to go away. As long as you remember the trigger, there you go. That'll bite the dust. And now he's got the small constellation chain going. I'm a big fan of this deck. It's, you know, it's a mix between a Constellation deck and a Devotion deck.
Yeah, we saw the very first open of this new format, Ross Merriam top 8 with this deck. Really singing praises for Doomwake Giant in the meta. I do think the meta game has moved away from Doomwake Giant being excellent.
I think it was a great week 1 deck.
It's a great week 1 deck, and still pretty powerful, even later on in the format.
Windswept Teeth going to come into play. Trigger the Courser. See, the top card is Windswept Teeth yet again. You know, this is kind of the evolved build of what Ross was doing. Ross was initially leaning heavily towards more Devotion, you know, cards like Pelucranos in his deck and access to Arbor Colossus. But this particular version, it's really more of a mishmash, and you're also using your graveyard too and whip and all that jazz. You've got more black mana. We've seen it do well in some Grand Prix across the world. And it's been doing well in the Open Series too. Had a really, really dominating performance when we were in Oakland. So here comes Siege Rhino into the red zone.
Still 1 insect back, waiting to try to trade there.
Yeah, I like this block.
Good block by Whitehouse. He gets to trade the insect with the Siege Rhino. He doesn't take any trample damage. Charley could trade this. Well, it doesn't particularly matter. I was going to say could trade this Abzan Charm.
You are perfectly fine with that. Yeah, I mean, you'll take some trample damage. That's definitely going to happen, but you get Siege Rhino off the table. You just have to whittle away things in this instance, I think.
He does have Whitehouse down to 9 off that trample damage. But he's got to do damage quick here. If you see, Whitehouse has Nykthos. He has 6 green mana symbols in play. He's about to make a second Eidolon of Blossoms. Things are about to get crazy.
Yeah, running Siege Rhinos is what it may take, but Bobby is ahead at this point, and he's looking to pull further ahead. As you mentioned, the second Eidolon of Blossoms. I think we just see a whip.
Yes, I do think we saw a whip. And if that's the case, then things just got really bad for Charley.
Buckle up.
This is what the Constellation... This is how the Constellation deck beats mid-range right here. If you give them enough time, they start making plays that you just can't keep pace with.
Yeah, Hornet Queen is what stabilized things, and now Whitehouse is going to get to turn the quarter. There's Nykthos, tapping for green mana.
Yeah, he tapped away one of his black mana sources there, which means he's not going to be able to whip something into play this turn, actually.
That's probably okay. We'll see if it comes back to hurt him at all. Yep, there's whip. Trigger, trigger.
This is what the deck does.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't believe Whitehouse has made a land, however, so if he doesn't untap black, he can whip up back a Hornet Queen this turn. I believe he has one in Landwar Waste as well.
We are having a ball, aren't we? He's going to attack this way. Get himself 4 life, deal 4 points of damage. It's going to be tied up at 13, though it doesn't feel tied.
It's the life gain that's really gonna get it here, though.
Yep. I think that's the bigger issue.
See another Eidolon of Blossoms in Whitehouse's hand.
Time to scry.
Plays a Temple here, opts not to drop that other Eidolon. Being conservative with his life total, also getting a lot of black mana into play.
You also kind of get to play around Bioblight there.
Yep. Yeah, there aren't, he doesn't know if there are Bioblights. On our side, we know that Charley actually is not running them. But if you're Whitehouse, this game's going really well. You probably just want to play it as safe as you can. Especially once you know that there is a whole nother nest of Hornets on the way. Go back to Charley. Can he seal the deal here before Bobby gains too much life? That's going to be the question.
Urborg's the draw for the turn. Courser.
So right now, Burmaz, Courser of Krufix. Bobby is right now at 13. That's thanks to the fact that he gained 4 off that whip last turn.
Yeah, Charley goes up to 14 from playing the land there. Trigger the Courser. Urborg's going to come into play. It's going to provide black mana for everybody.
Yeah, Bobby actually really could have used that last turn.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's slow you down a little bit. Ah, somebody's got a cut. Gotcha.
All right, so he's saving his mana for Murderous Cut. That makes sense. Go to attacks, Murderous Cut on Burmaz.
Yeah, I like the way that this game is going here for Whitehouse.
Looks pretty good for him.
Here comes Courser. Yeah, shrug. Yep.
Take 2.
Yeah, go to 11. Yeah. That's how this game kind of goes now. When you have a whip in play, it's like Yeah, there's no reason for me to block, so I'll just take it. You know, something could go wrong where it's like, I've got plenty of life and I'm going to be gaining more. He's got that whip in play that can bring back a whole host of creatures from the graveyard. Here's Elspeth.
And Elspeth, this is the biggest play that Abzan can make. We talk about how powerful their plays are. And it's why the matchup's difficult, because this play, while really strong, just doesn't deal with what Bobby's doing anymore.
It's something like a backbreaker, right? You know, Elspeth in the mid-range mirror, it's like, ah, wow, what a top deck. Unbelievable. But now in
top deck, yeah.
Yeah, in this situation, it's just kind of, whatever. I'll kill it with some flyers or, you know, keep it in check. And the 1/1s, well, they're not going to erase my Whip of Erebos.
Or ignore it.
Yeah.
You can even just swing at Charley and maybe just ignore it.
Yep. Those are all options. Don't know what road Whitehouse is going to take, but I think most avenues lead to victory here.
Yeah, it's hard. As long as he remembers to use all his cards, it's hard to make a wrong decision here.
Step 1, activate Whip.
Yeah, all right.
Yep. Success. He saw it. That's really too bad. It's so hard to win now that you have 100 Doomblades in play.
Remember this interaction. The Hornet Queen will exile at the end of turn, but those Hornets, they stay.
Yeah. Attack time. There. I think he's probably going to go after Elspeth. Yeah. 1 to you. So get your Planeswalker off the table. Take care of your most important card. Get you for 1 point of damage as well.
Gain 6.
Yep. That might be the most important part.
Charley can't race this. I don't know if his deck is not positioned to race this.
You know, there's not a main deck and hostilities or main deck Dune Blast hanging out or anything like that. So
we saw this with the Sultai Reanimator deck at the Pro Tour as well. This is one of the ways to combat mid-range. Whip of Erebos in particular has been a really strong card. We've seen actually some Abzan mid-range players start to play 1 or 2 Whip in their decks just for the mirror. Whipping back Siege Rhino is not as impressive as whipping back Hornet Queen, but still good enough to break open a mirror.
Hey, look at this green deck draw 7 cards this turn. That's pretty neat. A 3rd
Yeah.
Eidolon and a 4th Eidolon came into play.
Yeah. It's like the Green Sphinx's Revelation.
Temple's going
You
to
have
leave
to
the
play a
top
bunch
card on
of
top.
2/2s.
Yeah. I don't mind. It's a working man Sphinx's Revelation.
All 4 Eidolons. That's gonna just draw a lot of cards.
Yeah, I don't know how many more turns of this Charley wants to play.
There's a lot on the line. I bet he's gonna play it out, but this is not gonna go anywhere good for him.
He's going to reach. He's going to play his Courser. He'll be able to play Caves, trigger, gain 2 life, go up to 15. We'll see the top card of his deck in just a moment, which is Elspeth, which you would think would be a good draw, but given the board state, not actually the case. One of the few times that Elspeth in the mid-range mirror just simply doesn't matter, as Whitehouse is going to untap all these permanents and take a draw step. Remember, he left this card on top.
Yep.
Going to go reaching for some creatures here to the skies, I imagine, in just a moment. He's got 6 insect tokens out there in the air, along with the 2/2 Hornet Queen. Doomwake Giant in hand, Murderous Cut, Commune with the Gods. The world is his oyster right now.
See, just see how he wants to win at this point.
Yeah. Activate Nykthos.
So going back to the beginning of this game, what we saw in Charlie's hand is he had a lot of disruption, but he didn't actually have many ways to win. And I think in this matchup, there is some pressure on the Abzan deck to actually win the game. If you go too late, this stuff starts to happen, where your opponent's drawing 7 cards a turn and gaining 10 and attacking for, you know, other large numbers. So for games 2 and maybe 3, I want to say that Charley needs to be careful. Like, he thought Siege twice and made carries on his first turn, and that was really good, but then he wasn't able to get damage across every. Bobby was still at 20.
Yeah. Bobby's drawing 4 cards. Don't mind him. He's just going to kill your creatures, Doomwake Giant, draw 4 cards. Yeah, we'll see what happens after that. It's not like a big deal or anything.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby in a turn or 2, Bobby will get this game.
Yeah. He can safely attack with basically all of his creatures here. A little surprised to see the Eidolon taking back on defense, simply because the Caryatids are O2s because of the Doomwake Giant trigger, so there's the block. I mean, there's really nothing that can really go wrong, so.
Yep. And yep, and then they're both binned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage in. Puts Murdock. Should put Murdock to 6.
Yeah, Charlie gets one more draw step. It's the Elspeth that's on top of his deck.
And that's not going to be enough to save him.
Not even close. So we will watch him take that one more draw. Bobby Whitehouse may have to discard here, play a land, and all that jazz. But it's a formality at this point, folks. Bobby Whitehouse is going to win game number 1. Charlie Murdock will scoop up his permanence. Green-black Constellation up a game here over Obzon midrange. As we turn our attention to the sideboard, we will start with Charlie Murdock's, which you have in front of you.
All right, well, Obzon midrange, it's going to need ways to fight what Constellation is doing. So looking at the sideboard, he does have 2 copies of Erase. That's going to be pretty relevant. There's a lot of enchantments in this deck, especially the enchantment Whip of Erebos. Erase is a great kill spell. He'll board those in. This matchup does get a lot easier for Obzon post-board. He has Drown in Sorrow. He has Bioblight, each as a 3 of. All of them are pretty good in this matchup. And, you know, they're 1-for-1 answers almost with Hornet Queen. With that, he's no longer soft to Hornet Queen. He has answers to Whip. This matchup gets a lot better for him. You may even see him bring in, he has a 1 of Liliana Vest, and I'm not actually opposed to that in this matchup either.
4 copies of Arbor Colossus, an additional Doomwake Giant to go along with 3 in the main deck. 2 copies of Bioblight, a Farika, God of Affliction, 3 Nissa Worldwaker, and 4 copies of Thoughtseize is what Bobby Whitehouse is looking at. I think I just like Thoughtseize the most.
Thoughtseize is great in these black-green mirrors.
Yeah.
Tearing apart your opponent's hand is something you are usually interested in doing. Now, if he wants to get away from the synergy plan, he may also switch out Doomwake Giants for something like Nissa Worldwaker, just something that's higher impact. You'd rather, you know, on 5 mana, Nissa's a much more potent threat, and Doomwake doesn't do a particularly good job of killing anything out of the Obzon deck.
Yeah, the options are pretty straightforward, cut and dry. Don't think a lot will change here for Whitehouse. He's got a pretty good matchup. For Murdock, I think he's going to change quite a few things because the matchup is pretty tough for him.
Well, we do have the rest of the top 8, though. We can go ahead and look over that.
Go for it.
We had Aaron Barrich and Kevin Jones IDing in. They're playing Aaron Barrich is on Obzon Aggro. Kevin Jones playing Jeskai today. Other players IDing in, which are fairly safe. You have Harlan Führer on Jeskai combo. Excellent.
All right,
excellent.
all right.
Haven't seen that. Shaheen Sarani on Esper. Brad Nelson on 4-color mid-range. And then here are some of the more touchier ones. This all could come down to tiebreakers if Bobby wins. Stephen DuPaul on Mardu midrange, Von Wynn on Mardu midrange, and Ali Antrazi on blue-black control. If Bobby wins, one of those 3 players is likely going to miss.
Take a look at right now as players who shuffle up at regionals that will be taking place February 7th. You can see all the locations right here.
Yeah, so 14 different locations around the country. This is Star City Games Regional Winter Championships taking place February 7th. That's the weekend of the Pro Tour. Find a location near you and win your regional championship. See, scattered all over the country here.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Got a lot of locations here. Guys can find out more information at starcitygames.com/regionals. Also can find out more information about this sweet playmat that we do have as well, free and exclusive to the first 200 players that do register for their particular regionals. So definitely come out on February 7th for regionals. Star City Games, come plant your flag and get this sweet playmat and be a regional champion. Like me.
You won regionals.
Yeah,
back in the year?
I did.
That's excellent.
It was really a lot of fun. I won with a solar flare deck.
Now that's back when we used to qualify you for nationals, right?
Yeah, way back when, because I'm so old. It was 2010. Winning that regionals qualified me for the nationals in Baltimore that some guy named Luis Scott Vargas won. Just some dude who was pretty good at
He was still
Magic.
kind of a guy at the time, though.
He was kind of a guy. He was kind of a guy then.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's in 2010.
I think it was 2010. I'm almost positive, yeah, 2010.
That was the first tournament I ever went to that I did well at, actually.
Maybe 09. Maybe 09.
Okay.
Maybe
My first one was 08 regionals. I can't say I won it because they stopped at top 4. You didn't play it out because it was the top 4 slots got to go to nationals, and I got top 4. Got to play in my first nationals. Lost the finals of a draft to Paul Chion. His first time playing a pro.
He's okay.
I had no idea who he was at the time, and then and then he went and made the U.S. national team at the event. I was like, oh, I played that guy. He was pretty nice. I remember that was kind of my take on it.
Yeah, he does okay for himself in the game of Magic. He does all right. That was the tournament, that regionals that Luis won in the last round of the Swiss. I beat some dude. His name was Brad Nelson. It was his first national tournament. Yeah, some guy. And I got 9th place on Breakers. It was a sweet tournament.
Of Nationals?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, actually. And Baltimore is one of my favorite cities because of that tournament and because Baltimore, where we have the Open Series, is just an awesome venue down in the Inner Harbor, right by Camden Yards and all that stuff. A lot of people come out to that venue. It's a great one. Game number 2 going to be underway here. Charley Murdock going to start things off with a Sandstep Citadel. Whitehouse with a Forest. He'll kick it back. I think Murdock's got the acceleration. There's an Urborg. There is a Sylvan Caryatid. So now Whitehouse, hey, he's got black mana.
Sure.
There is that. If that was a problem, which it's not, since he has an Urborg of his own. And he's got a Caryatid too, so both players with a nice start here.
All right, so saw last game, Charley needs to get some sort of aggro strategy going. Though maybe post-board he can be a little more controlling because now his answers to things like Hornet Queen and Whip of Erebos. It's certainly, the matchup becomes much more palatable for him after sideboard.
Temple on top. Temple coming into play. Trigger, gain of life, Scry coming too.
And he still goes for the grindier approach here. He had the option to play Bramaz or the Caryatid.
Yep.
Or the Courser of Krufix. And went with the Courser, getting the extra card there off the top of his deck.
Put Hero's Downfall on the bottom too before passing the turn back. Well, they're basically mirroring each other.
Yeah, Bobby will do the same thing. He flips, he's not as fortunate though, doesn't get a land. He flips Murderous Cut.
Though he does have a land in his hand. I think he's going to deploy the Swamp that he's got. Maybe. It looks like he's got a couple options. He's going to play Windswept Heath, trigger the Courser. He'll go up to 21 as well. It's a green mirror match through and through.
But two relatively different strategies. Bobby's playing a lot like a ramp deck, whereas Charlie's just this mid-range control deck.
Caves of Koilos was the draw. Thoughtseize is on top of the deck. Decisions here for Mr. Murdock.
Yeah, has a Siege Rhino, said before. The combo of 4 untapped mana and Siege Rhino is never bad. But he may have other plans right now. Siege Rhino, Bramaz, Bioblade, Drown in Sorrow, 2 lands. That's the hand for Murdock. Thoughtseize on top. What's your argument against Siege Rhino here?
I don't have one because I really like Siege Rhino.
Okay. Like I said, you have 4 mana. You have a Siege Rhino. It's hard to not just pull the trigger on it.
You know, Bramaz is, kind of an interesting card to play here. But, it's not going to work its way through Courser, so I'm not really all that interested in it. And, for me, it's just like, I have a Siege Rhino. Play a Siege Rhino.
Yep.
Yeah.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
Just play him when you can. It's always good.
Put the big dummy in play. Get some life. Take some away from your opponent. Try to make him beat the thing. Yeah, I mean, your opponent has Murderous Cut in their hand, but whatever.
Well, it's okay. Then he has to play it.
Yeah.
Spend some mana. You still drained him for 3.
Cut was the draw for Whitehouse. You see the top card of his deck is a Forest. So see if he wants to take that and put it into play or if he wants to play a land from his hand.
It's his turn to get a free card off Courser if he wants it.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd pass it up, so he's going to put that in play. He'll gain a life. He's up to 19.
And if both players just kind of sit around playing this attrition game, I'd say I generally like green-black Constellation in that situation. Because when they start getting ahead, they start getting ahead by a lot more.
That's the reason I like the attrition game, is the card Bobby just played. He's able to play Whip of Erebos and just pass the turn back.
Charlie's got to be pretty sad that he did not get that Thoughtseize a turn earlier, the one he's about to draw. That's the card he would have wanted to Thoughtseize. He does have some erase in the sideboard, but none in his hand right now.
Courser of Krufix is the card on top of the deck here for Murdock. You see the life total is 25 to 19. It's in favor of Charley at this point. It's going to go up to 26, actually, due to playing the Windswept Heath. Trigger the Courser. Going to go reaching for a land here. Going to use Urborg to cast a Thoughtseize. So down to 24 he goes. We'll see the grip. It's a Cut, a Queen, a Pharika, a Nykthos, and a Swamp.
Tough hand for Charley to deal with. He can't Thoughtseize the Hornet Queen because it'll get whipped back. If he takes Murderous Cut, he can try to protect his Siege Rhino and get some damage in. He could also take Pharika. If Bobby casts the Pharika, Charley won't be able to get it off the board. Because of that interaction, my guess is he's going to take the God.
Yeah, not only that, but there's also the Eidolon of Blossom staring at him at the top of the deck too. And if you get that ball rolling where Pharika's making snakes, trigger the Eidolon,
right,
because
the snakes are enchantments.
Yep. It's kind of ugly, so.
Yeah, he does have Bioblade for that Eidolon when it happens, but still, Pharika is a permanent threat. Doesn't want to give Bobby access to that. Not to mention that the Freako would be online. There's already 5 devotion to black-green.
Yeah. Rhino's going to come in. Put Whitehouse on to 15. We got a follow-up spell here from Charley.
Charley does play the Burmaz. It's a tough follow-up because thanks to Whip of Erebos, Burmaz hardly makes a dent in life total. Bobby can block the Cat Soldier with the Courser of Krufix, which means he'll gain 2, kill the 1/1. But Charley will put 1 damage through, but not ideal.
Top card's a copy of Arbor Colossus. So Whitehouse has to keep trekking forward here.
Yep. Charley's got to keep Whitehouse on the back foot. See, right now he's certainly behind on the board, but his life total is still somewhat safe, and that's what Charley wants.
Island of Blossoms may not be a bad place to start. He's got a lot of options over there. The one thing he doesn't have, he just doesn't have a ton of mana yet. No Nykthos out there, or not a lot of mana acceleration like an Elvish Mystic and a Caryatid or 2 copies of Caryatid. So he's still basically in 1 spell per turn territory, though again there's Nykthos now, so he'll gain a life off of that.
Devotions to green is 3, so Bobby's not making a profit with Nykthos just yet. But as we know, he drew Eidolon of Blossoms.
And Hornet Queen in hand.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pass the turn back with the ability to cast a Murderous Cut here.
I mean, as early as next turn, Bobby can just cast the Hornet Queen. Now, Charley is at the ready with an answer. He does have Drown in Sorrow for that Hornet Queen.
Yep.
That'll take care of the first set of insects. He has Bioblight for the second set of them, which means he can make his way through the Hornet Queen. But, Bobby gets to draw cards in the meantime. It's by no means safe.
Nissa Worldwaker, the top card of the deck now. Little shoulder shrug, probably an attack here in just a second. Nope. There's a cut. What's it targeting? Probably the Rhino. Yep.
And when it targets the Rhino, this takes away Charley's ability to deal damage here. Because Bobby's creatures have lifelink. Charley can attack, but he'll deal 1.
He's just not going to get a lot of work done.
No.
I think we're going to see exactly what you're mentioning, which is, Burmaz will attack, and there'll be a cat token, and that's all well and good. But I think we're just going to see him block the cat token.
He can block the cat token and go to 15, or he can block the Burmaz and go to 17.
Yeah, just get the cat token off the board. I'm fine with this.
18 even, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. There's a Bioblight to take care of the Courser.
And that's an aggressive use of the Bioblight, especially now just because Charley knows about the Hornet Queen.
Yeah, I mean, he does have Drown in Sorrow for it, but as you mentioned, he's got Drown in Sorrow for the first wave of it. That's his last card.
It's going to get whipped back, and now when it gets whipped back, he doesn't have an answer to the insects that are left behind. Getting rid of Courser was good and kept Bobby off some devotion, but it may have been a little hasty.
There's Swamp. He's basically saying, I dare you to cast Hornet Queen. Well, he's going to cast it.
Yeah. What that means is I think Charley's trying to play a control game here. Or not trying to not play a control game. If he doesn't have answers to all these the Hornet Queen activations, he's going to just try to push damage through it.
The bad part here for Murdock is, yes, he does have a Drown in Sorrow to get this thing off the table, but he has to cast Drown in Sorrow pre-combat to kill all the stuff, which means he doesn't get to deal as much damage. I think that's the big issue on this turn. This is the draw. Top card here is Wingmate Rock.
Charley's drawing well.
I was going to say, it's not like his draws are bad. It just shows how difficult it is for him to overcome Hornet Queen. It's so hard.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he has the 3 Bioblights and 3 Drown in Sorrows in his sideboard. Those are his best weapons. But even then, they're overloaded. It's just a 1-for-1 when he pulls it off.
Yeah, any attacks that Murdock's going to make this turn, if the Hornet Queen and the insects are still in play, I imagine Bobby's just, okay, block, kill your stuff, whip it back, Gonna tap some mana here. Nissa.
5, it's gonna be for Nissa. Drown in Sorrow can wait a turn.
Make this a creature.
Activate Urborg. And I did not expect an attack here.
Just block it.
Yeah, it's gonna trade with an insect.
Let's take a look here.
The other option he could have made here was to make multiple 4/4s out of his lands, and then next turn cast a Drown in Sorrow and swing some 2/2s in, which is not as much damage as I'm sure he'd like, but is not that bad. I think the dangerous part is by not killing Hornet's Queen and the Hornets this turn, Bobby will get to attack and actually just gain a lot of life here.
Yeah, he gets to trade with the land with one of the insects, gain a life. Like
kill
he takes
Nissa with the rest of them.
Yeah, he takes 3 trample damage and he gains a life back, so he takes 2 total, and then he gets to kill Nissa with the rest of them. So your Hornet Queen took care of a land and a Planeswalker.
And I don't want to speak too soon, but I think Bobby's draw for the turn may be just the draw that he didn't want also. Believe he has another copy of Hornet Queen.
Oh, no.
So we thought that 2 Hornet Queens, 1 Hornet Queen and 1 whipped back was bad to deal with, but the prospect of 4 Hornet Queens.
I wonder if he's going to change his play at all. It's a pretty aggressive attack. Yeah, he's just going to play this. Yep.
Yep, and here's Hornet Queen number 2.
But you mentioned the thing that's really key about this is that in the attack, yes, he gets rid of Nissa, but he gets to gain 5 life, so he's going to need to go up to 16.
Charlie didn't make any progress that turn. He just lost an Urborg. He traded an Urborg and a Nissa for a 1/1 insect token. There.
Those are trades Bobby Whitehouse would like to make again and again and again. There's Wingmate Rock. Top card, Abzan Charm.
Well, I'm pretty... Charlie's going to be forced into the Drown in Sorrow here.
Well, if not now, when?
Not right. He doesn't have many more opportunities to cast it, so he'll get to make that, and you'll take most of Bobby's devotion off the board. So he'll have to play 1 to 2 cards a turn.
You can see why people gravitated towards this Green Black Constellation deck when I was on mid-range, you know, after the Pro Tour and after just the deck having a lot of success. It's just, this is just so hard from the beat. Just Whip plus Queen plus mana is like, go try to beat this. Go ahead.
No,
it's
absolutely.
so hard. There's a
yeah, it's
just a little guy.
okay. Bobby's going to take the 1. Now, doesn't even want to trade it.
Yeah, he snuck one in. There's Wingmate Rock.
So he's not going to build up, not play the Drown in Sorrow just yet. It does mean he'll get better attacks post Drown in Sorrow, but in the meantime, he's going to take a lot of damage off these flyers. There's no reason for Bobby to stop making them attack.
Yeah.
They all have lifelink.
Draw a card. I think it's a Courser. Yeah, I like just saying, like, I get to work with really good information. I just like attack with everybody, play Arbor Colossus. You're up.
Well, a danger here is that he has enough devotion to green now. He has 7 devotion, where Bobby can just start deploying his entire hand.
Yeah.
Urborg is
mana.
fine to be tapped due to that, or you can tap the Windswept Heath because of Urborg.
Yep, there's the count. Lots of green.
7.
2 left.
1 left.
Yep.
No, it's... Oh, no, he's 5. It's 2/6 to Monstrous. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Monstrosity.
So cast and Monstrosity Arbor Colossus in 1 turn. That costs 11, which he can do.
Get that weak stuff out of there. I was surprised to see him kill the token instead of the actual Wingmate Rock.
Typically, the rock is better to kill, but on this board, it's not. It's mostly the same. When Bobby wins, it's not going to be by small margins. The life gain the Wingmate Rock has doesn't particularly matter.
Yeah, I just want to jam with everybody.
Here come the bees. Or the insects.
2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, shoulder shrug. Whitehouse is up to 22. Murdock is going to go down to 17.
Remember, with this win, Bobby Whitehouse will enter into a tie with a lot of the other players who drew into the top 8, but his breakers are positioned that this should put Bobby into our top 8. And it will not, and between Stephen DuPaul, I guess between Bobby Whitehouse, Stephen DuPaul, Von Wynn, and Ali Antrazi, one of them will miss.
Yeah, I mean, it's not over yet. Not to say that Bobby is in great position right now, because he certainly is. But, you know, Stephen's draws have been good here with Courser making sure that he doesn't draw any lands. You know, he drew a Ringmate Rock, he drew a copy of Abzan Charm. He's got a Sandstep Citadel on top of his deck that he, of course, can put into play. I mean, it's looking grim, don't get me wrong, but it's not over just yet. He's still got that Drowned Sorrow that he's had since the opening turns of the game, a Drowned Sorrow that Bobby Whitehouse doesn't know about.
Yeah, and that's a great card to have here. But things are just they're spiraling out of control for him pretty quickly. He needed to keep Bobby off some of his creatures before the Devotion deck snowballed too much. When you get to the point where Bobby's making 11 mana in a turn, there's really not much coming back from that. Even cards like Drown in Sorrow on a double Hornet Queen board, which, while really good, I mean, the problem is Bobby now has a 9/9 lifelinker in play, so he's going to have time to rebuild, unless you have a pinpoint removal spell for the Arbor Colossus as well.
He does have a charm in hand.
Okay,
So
so
I
you
can
can
take care of that.
charm the Colossus.
Eventually, Drown in Sorrow away the Hornets and the insects and all that stuff.
And then you have a Bobby Whitehouse who's going to be at about around 30 life, which you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, the life total's high and the whip is still in play. So
Yeah.
you need to find a card like Erase, too. I mean, again, I'm not saying it's not easy. Okay.
Well, a Dune Blast might do it.
Yeah. That's a step in the right direction, right?
Absolutely. He's going to have to chump block his way to this Dune Blast if he wants to cast it.
And to be fair, he only has
Five.
It's 4 mana and then a Sylvan Caryatid, so 5 mana available.
Yeah.
So he's a little ways away from it.
But Dune Blast is a great card to have here.
Abzan Charm? Or Drown in Sorrow this time. Okay. So this is going to resolve. It's going to shrink a bunch of stuff. It's going to kill all the insects and the 2 Hornet Queens. So those
Yep.
are finally off the table.
And he's going to put away the Dune Blast.
All right.
It's just too far away.
Wingmate Rock now.
It's really a hard choice, and this was a tough call by Charley, I think. So Dune Blast is an answer to all the remaining Hornets that Bobby would make. So you want to keep it for that reason, but at the same time, it's so far off.
Yeah, and the bad part is you see he just says, go. Like, I killed all your stuff. Go. I don't have a good attack.
Yeah, and that's tough.
Yep.
Bobby still has a 9/9.
He's still got a whip, too. I wonder if he's going to use that this turn.
Nykthos currently taps for 4, so it is an accelerant. Not as big as it used to be, not 7.
Yeah.
But I believe we got all the way up to 10 there at the end.
See how Whitehouse wants to navigate this turn. There's a bunch of green. 4 of them. See him wiggle his fingers.
Use 2 green, 2 black to whip back a Hornet Queen. So 2 green still floating.
Yep. More of those, guys.
And this was the hard part. Wave 2. How does Charley get through it? He wants to be the control deck here. If he's going to be the control deck, he's going to have to answer everything.
Of course, our top card reveal Arbor Colossus. Man, this is a lot for this deck to try to overcome. Ugh.
Not to mention, if he gets this, Charley has to get a game 3. Which
Yeah, no kidding.
they're low on time right now. Not sure that he would get the chance to do that, but he can at least pull off the draw.
Here's a big attack. Yeah, Colossus is going to get chumped here, I think, by Courser. Yep. Got to do that. And Whip is going to gain a whole bunch of life.
11 more for Bobby. It'll put him up to 33.
Bye-bye Hornet Queen for good, though there is another one down there. Murdock's, we know what he's drawing. It's a copy of Wingmate Rock. You see the copy of Abzan Charm in his hand. Top card now is a copy of Windswept Teeth. So he can put that into play with Courser if he'd like to and go to 17. Looks like he's going to do exactly that.
Yeah, if he had drawn that Dune Blast, he could have gotten up to 7 mana. I guess with the help of Courser, it wouldn't have been insurmountable.
Another copy of Drown in Sorrow.
It's a great card for him to have.
Yep.
He almost wishes that Bobby had whipped back the second Hornet Queen before he got to see this Drown in Sorrow. This is probably going to mean that Bobby won't whip back Hornet Queen number 2.
Yeah, the nice thing here for the, getting the information, he now knows I don't need to. I can just kind of save that because I got other stuff to do. So that's good news for him. Yeah, Charley, you can see the look on his face, though. He knows it's so hard to just slog through all of this. Yeah, is there any way that I can work my way through everything that Whip's doing? I got an answer for this big old Colossus and Abzan Charm, but Whip is just a real headache. Also, he's got a Colossus on top of his deck. So I have to try to beat another one of those.
I mean, they're just giant life linkers. It's like your opponent's drawing these worm coil engines, and you just have to keep answering them because they're 6/6 life linkers that come back.
Well, now you're speaking my language.
I know, it's like they're playing Tron. You're just, I'll draw another worm coil. Like, oh gosh, another one, okay.
I know you don't have Ayavugan, but hey, commune with the gods is close enough or whatever. That's fine.
Hi, friends. It's time in the round. Finish the current.
These players, time in the original Swiss round has been announced. These guys, of course, because they're in a feature match, have a bit of an extension. So about 5.5 minutes left to battle with. And there's a cat token. Yep, pretty quick block. See you later. Gain a life, take 1. Follow-up. There's the rock.
Charlie's doing a great job of treading water here. He's not dying, but the question is whether or not he's advancing his board. Bobby's life total continues to go up due to Whip of Erebos. So what Charlie's going to have to do is he's going to have to survive until he finds an erase.
Commune with the Gods is the top card. Arbor Colossus, again, was the draw. Yeah, this is... I agree. You know, he is treading water is the best way to explain it. Because that's exactly what he's doing. He's just... the
he's
problem
not losing.
But he's not winning either.
Right.
Yeah.
No, in fact, he's getting farther from winning.
Yeah, it really does. It's just trying to swim upstream, just not getting anywhere.
This is an announcement about prizes. If you wish,
You can see a lot of those Hornets still left here.
filled out tax information with us.
And if you're in Bobby Whitehouse's spot, 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining here, you can probably, you know, there's no reason to get overly aggressive here. Your deck has the better late game. You're up a game.
Yeah, you're up a game. I mean, everything favors you right now. And it's Charlie's job to win. And I don't know if he can even do that.
Yeah, he can Drown in Sorrow and swing 9. So, you know, except that the Arbor Colossus has reach. So, no, that doesn't even work.
Also swing 3, since they get -2,
Oh,
-2.
they'd also get -2, -2. It's not just your opponent's creatures, it's yours. It's tough. He can make some plays, and they make some progress, but it seems like every time Charlie takes a step forward, Bobby pushes him 2 steps back.
There's an Eidolon. Trigger, draw, top card, Courser. Commune in hand now. There is Commune. He did have mana floating, so there's Courser. There's another Commune. There's an Arbor Colossus, Elvish Mystic, and a Forest.
Has his choice of creatures here, probably Colossus or Courser.
Yeah, just give me another boom boom. Give me that thing.
Get another Worm Coil engine.
Yeah, give me that thing. Give me more devotion too. Top card.
Another Hornet Queen. Okay, well, if we thought that getting through 4 Hornet Queens was tough, now it's going to be 6. Remember, each of those guys counts double thanks to this unanswered Whip of Erebos. And that's just it, right?
This matchup feels impossible.
Well, once you get to this point, yes.
This feels so hard.
I think there's a lot of play from the Obzon side before this point in the game.
Sure.
You know, it doesn't seem that bad. Like, yeah, I think Whip is a really bad card for the Obzon deck. But when, say, imagine there wasn't a Whip of Erebos here, Charlie would have won this game. And I think he would have gotten away with it pretty easily. You know, he had Drown in Sorrow for the Hornet Queen. Like, remember that Bobby has, not only has he whipped back a Hornet Queen here, so all these tokens are, you know, free tokens off the whip, is that he's gained 20, 30 life already. So imagine the same board with no Hornets, with Bobby at 5. You know, that's not hard anymore for Murdock to win.
Hornet Queen's going to turn over a couple of cards. Excuse me. Seder Wayfinder is going to turn over a couple of cards. One of them is Hornet Queen. Also 2 Murderous cuts, so Swamp's going to go to the hand. He's just going to pass the turn back. Sitting comfy in the driver's seat. Drown Sorrow's the draw. Utter and all right.
All right, we have a way to answer Whip. There's a light at the end of this tunnel.
Yeah, Murdock's got about 2 minutes to figure it out, though, along with a couple extra turns.
He might be able to get it. There's a chance here. He has to utter end the Whip. He has to Drown in Sorrow away all the guys. He has to answer Arbor Colossus and somehow find a way to deal 44 in the meantime. It's a big checklist here, and it's got to be about in that order.
He's got about 90 seconds to do it. So.
He needs to make some plays. He has Obzon Charm for the Colossus. He has Drown in Sorrow. He has Utter End next turn. So he has these permanents answered. That part is good. Remember, Bobby might do something silly like draw 7 cards on his turn.
Yeah, deck is certainly capable. Here come the Flyers.
Sure, Bobby will take. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, take 9. You get Charlie gets to gain some life here because of the Wingmate Rock triggers, but kind of is what it is.
It's actually 6 life on Charlie's side. Each one gains 3.
I like blocking. I mean, just whittle them down.
I would love to trade my 1/1 flyer for when I know you have Drown in Sorrow in your hand.
Yeah.
I would love to trade my 1/1 flyer for your Wingmate Rock.
Every time.
I would trade it even without knowing about the Drown in Sorrow, but now that when I know that you're going to Drown in Sorrow me, then I'm even more for it.
Whitehouse is down to 39. He's untapping and he's drawing. Top card, Sylvan Carry added.
That was not too much help.
Nah. One of the few bad draws left in his deck.
No need for him to whip back that Hornet Queen. He can just wait. Doesn't mean he might lose his whip. There is a downside.
Yeah, there's a minor downside here. But he also has other whips to draw, too, you know? You have to imagine that all 3 are still in his deck after sideboard.
Oh, yeah. It's the best card in the matchup.
There's a land, trigger, gain, up to 40.
I think if you had questions about how good it was in the matchup, this game, I think, just drives home the point of just how good it is.
It feels like it's winning the game by itself.
Yeah, now to be fair, the rest of the deck is working alongside it. You see here, Arbor Colossus. That Nicholas activation was for 9. So that's 9 green. All he needs to have is 2 more mana, which you see him tap alongside, so he can play Arbor Colossus. He's going to attempt to Monstrosity it. It'll be an Abzan Charm in response.
That's cool.
Exiles it.
Yep.
All right.
So all these exchanges favor Bobby.
I mean,
Every
yeah,
single
he
one.
only spent 11 mana here, and we
Yep.
have reached time in the round, so this
Yep.
is actually turn 0. Charlie has 3 turns to deal 40, and it's going to be more than 40, because now that this 9/9 Arbor Colossus can swing in, it'll be more probably like 50-something.
Rawr.
And I think that's the hard part is Charlie doesn't have enough powers worth of, like, maybe Charlie can get a control of this board, maybe. But
It's a
he doesn't have
big
enough.
maybe.
But he doesn't have enough power worth of creatures to win in 5 turns.
Yeah.
Or it'll be 3 attacks on his side. You know, so he'd need to have what, at least 17, maybe 18 power worth of creatures, depending on how much Bobby gains this turn. He just doesn't have that.
Do any of his creatures have infect? Are we on a
That
new?
would help.
Are we on
That would
a
be a
new
new
plan? Does he have a tainted strike he can draw? Like, Bobby's up to 53.
Yeah, so 53. He's going to need to deal 18 a turn for these 3 remaining turns.
Well, it's turn 1. Draw, Temple, Silence.
You look at Charlie Murdock's side. He knows it.
Yeah, his hand right now is Utter End and Drown in Sorrow.
It's tough because he probably does feel like he's gaining control of this game.
Yeah, it feels like, slowly but surely, because the Utter End, it gives him like this glimmer of hope.
Yeah, and this is like, this matchup might seem really bad from watching this match, but I really don't think it is. If you look at the way that Charlie's winning this game, like the way he's pulling back in, this will happen a lot if you play this matchup a lot of games, more than the two we've seen. This sort of coming back that Charlie's doing will certainly come into play. And you'll find that, like, with the generic answers that Abzan has, cards like Utter End, like Erase, he can deal with the whip. He's very well equipped to post board to sweep away Hornet Queens. He can actually just play fair Magic and eventually break apart the green-black synergy.
Yeah, and I think that, you kind of mentioned a little while ago that he's got to play a shorter game. He doesn't want to get into this long, drawn-out affair because I think that favors Bobby, but if he can kind of keep him off balance a little while, he might be able to win with some timely removal spells.
If he can get into the long, drawn-out affair, as long as he keeps him off balance the whole time and he can actually still win them post-board. Pre-board, I think game 1 he has to win fast, because if it goes late, he doesn't have Drown in Sorrow, he doesn't have Bile Blight. He can't actually recover from, a Hornet Queen getting whipped back is lights out.
Yeah. Here's just a couple points of damage as Drown in Sorrow was cast already, so it's going to be 2 points of damage that do come across.
Well, it puts him to 51.
That's not bad. 51's not bad at all. And I think both players, Charlie's probably saying, you take 6. And he's like, I actually take 2.
Yep. Charlie gains the life. Gains 2 there. On turn 2 for Bobby.
Temple of Malleus, the top card.
With Hornet Queen in the yard, Bobby can whip it back. He can similarly do nothing here. It is just unclear how he would take that much damage.
Top card's going to go to the bottom. I think Murdock knows that he's beat at this point. I think he just wants to finish out the tournament, and I can respect that. Play the last couple of turns here. He's only got 2 turns left in his day, right? No reason to concede. Here's Hornet Queen going to come back.
Yeah, and by casting the Drown in Sorrow there, that means he did not get rid of the whip.
Yep.
I think in an ideal world, a non-timed world, he can't make that play. I think he has to actually Utter End the whip before he casts Drown in Sorrow because of this. Because now he needs another Drown in Sorrow again.
He's placed back into the B hard lock.
Yeah.
Which is, hey, look at my 4 Doomblades that are on the table.
Right, you need to sweep them. You can't play fair there.
Courser's going to bite the dust. Arbor Colossus is going to gain a bunch of life. Hornet Queen 2. Bye-bye, Queen. You see Eidolon on top of the deck. If you live in a world, Magic players, where Abzan midrange is very popular, I think you want to play the deck on the right.
This is a closer matchup than we're seeing. As much as I love to see Abzan midrange lose.
I know you hate
and
that
because
deck, so.
it's so fair. It's so just casting Siege Rhinos. No, as much as I'm not, I actually think that this matchup is fine for Obzon. I wouldn't want to play it every round, but I think the Obzon deck has plenty of game here.
I think you have to have a very, very particular plan. I think that's the trick. And now
Kill the
Bobby's not even going to play any more spells.
Yeah.
Charlie's not going to play any more spells. And that's going to do it. Bobby Whitehouse is going to win this match over Charlie Murdock, 1-0. Green-black Constellation takes down Obzon mid-range. Bobby Whitehouse moves on to 8-1-1. If things break in his favor, we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, so there's some tiebreakers going on here. One player at 8-1-1 is going to miss the top 8. We will find that out. You'll be able to check that by checking the top 8 on StarCityGames.com. We'll have that posted as soon as we know what it is.
Yeah, all around good.